He's asking if you'd sell out.
Would you sell it?
Yeah. It's extraordinary. It's like literally extra, just ordinary. It's just not. It's self-taught, self-learning, and just being very open-minded to everybody, just understanding that I don't know everything, and then got it.
All right, and we are rolling. Welcome back to the number one podcast in Houston, the Yacht Club. Today is October the 5th, 2019, and we're sitting down with founder and CEO of Grind Basketball, Thomas Fields. Grind Basketball is a portable shooting and rebounding machine designed to allow athletes to shoot 1,200 shots an hour versus the standard 100. Here's the best part. This industry-changing invention actually will fit into a duffel bag, so you potentially can literally carry it anywhere you go. So let's dive right in with up-and-coming entrepreneur Thomas Fields. My guy, how are you?
Good, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Okay, so I'm going to start off really light. I just want to ask you to give us a little history on Thomas Fields. Who are you?
Cool. Yeah, man. I think I'm an average basketball player, kind of a kid from the inner city of, Northside Houston that kind of fell in love with the game when he was about 7 years old. My background is kind of, I've always loved business, loved design, and loved basketball, specifically sports. And I think I kind of came up with the concept of grind after I kind of had the problem myself of not having access to kind of the best equipment in the industry that most professional athletes have access to. So kind of really turned myself into a self-taught mechanical engineer. Went to U of H, dropped out of business school. Got into a program through MIT, got some funding on starting Grind. We went into technology accelerators. We just recently got into our third technology accelerator, so they're kind of investors in the company. And yeah, man, so just kind of a regular kid that hoops and kind of figured out how to try to change the basketball world.
Yeah. Okay. How old are you?
I'm 24.
24. Okay. So, you said you got investors. Just so I get it right, the machine, is it kind of like that baseball machine except for basketballs now? Yeah. So like essentially they'll shoot the ball, and instead of having the ball boys now, it'll shoot back out to you. Is that pretty much what it is?
Yeah, exactly. It's a 12-foot tall rebounding machine. So, most high-end high schools have one. They're about $5,000, $6,000. They're about 400 pounds. So they're really not accessible on a kind of a personal basis. So these things, Steph Curry, LeBron, all the best players, they kind of use these things. So everybody in the basketball world understands that this is kind of a game-changing machine, right? It's been around for like 20, 30 years, but it's kind of been designed in the wrong way, in my opinion, not for athletes, right? So I kind of started Grind Incorporated to design sports equipment in general, from basketball, soccer, football, focusing on the athletes to actually solve our problems. And what better way to actually listen to the athletes and actually discover their problems, understand where they're coming from, and design solutions, to really hit on those things.
So I want to just touch on it real quick before you change the subject. So you pretty much took something that was already there, but you just made it more convenient now. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it really came from, like, I was in my freshman year I made varsity, so I was kind of one of those, trying to get to Division I college, trying to really make it in the basketball world, and it kind of came after I tore my ACLs. I blew out my knees all throughout 10th, 11th, 12th grade. So I had like 4 knee surgeries before graduating and actually trying to get to college. So throughout that whole process, it was really tough. And I think, you know, from just completely stopping playing basketball since I was like 7 years old, I mean, I didn't really know what to do. I was kind of lost. And, you know, the only thing I kind of leaned on was just working harder. So I started waking up at 5, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and just working out really, really hard, going to the gym. And my school actually bought a shooting machine, $5,000. So it was accessible now to me that I thought, right? So I was bugging the coach, 5 a.m., get me in the gym. And I really discovered that even the schools that had these machines, they weren't accessible. Like, you know, coach had the key. During practice, you're practicing with 10 to 15 guys. So it's really an individual machine that wasn't designed for individuals. And Grind is really taking that concept and, you know, trying to explode it into mainstream sports. And we're really tacking on the aspect of technology to it, right? So we're making every product very, very interactive. So yeah, so integrating like the app and being able to track your progress and, you know, and again, just focusing in on what players actually want is to be seen by college recruits. But at the end of the day, I think we're doing this to kind of show kids that you can do anything you want. You could be creatives, you can be engineers, you can be business folks, and kind of come from where we come from. So it just, you know, just trying to inspire them in a different way.
Man, I have a lot of questions. Go ahead, though.
So you came up with this idea, right? But then how did you, and this is for other entrepreneurs that also want to start their own business and create their own products and design their own, like, even, like, how did you, in what point did you realize that you had a team to execute this? Or like, how did you begin to execute it? Like, where did it go from being an idea to now being like a reality?
Yeah, it's a great question. I love that. So initially, right before I went to U of H, I always kind of gloss over this, but I went to a junior college, a 2-year college, and I became the coach of the girls basketball team. And while I was kind of coaching right after high school, I started like prototyping. I didn't know what to do. I knew I had the concept. And that's why I kind of say I'm a self-taught mechanical engineer, because I had to figure it out, right? So I started sketching myself, and I just kind of had to create it from scratch, right? And I figured nobody would believe me, from engineers to business folks, right? Like a shooting machine in a duffel bag. A lot of people said it was impossible, right? So I just kind of had to, you know, literally figure it out as far as, you know, the logic behind folding this 12-foot tall, 400-pound machine into this bag. Yeah. And once I made it kind of make sense in my head, I kind of figured out, my friend Xavier, he kind of taught me how to weld in my garage, and we started welding prototypes together. Our first prototypes were done on North Main, kind of down the street where you did. We got our first shirts, and you know, it kind of went from there. So Xavier helped me first, and I brought on some other engineers, and they helped the concepts, you know, get to fruition. And then from that point, once we got some funding, you know, we brought on some interns, and you know, I just started figuring out how to manage and really learning how to inspire people with the vision, and really kind of teaching myself how to be like that boss or CEO, right? To figure out how to, you know, run the company. So that's kind of how the team was formed. And now that we have some funding, we're actually, you know, moving forward with like paid employees, and like we're actually forming into, you know, everything that, you know, a successful company needs to, you know, have.
Okay, so at what have you formed an LLC? I'm assuming you have, right? So at what point did you were like, all right, we got it. Like, this is about to happen. Let's get the company started. You have a warehouse too now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I saw that online. So all of the ideas spawned at 17?
At 17 years old.
Is that what you were saying, at 17?
Yeah, about 10th grade.
And then around in the college years is when you started executing it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how long has it been now? and take me through the process of you actually getting the LLC done, and then how did you expand on that then? Did you find investors immediately? Did someone mentor you to be like, hey, look, this is A, B, and C, and you kind of have to complete these categories before you take it to the next level?
Yeah, I think, and this ties into our mission, I think. I had a lot of friends that didn't have like father figures to kind of guide them in the right direction, right? And I owe a lot to my dad just because he inspired me to, even though we don't have a lot of money, right? You can do something else. You can go start a business, a LLC, a corporation. And he did it. He produced some music for a lot of rappers and stuff like that. So I kind of learned a lot from him, and I think that's what Grind is really trying to take that place for those kids that don't have that guidance, and kind of show them like you can do this, you can do that, you can do that, and just create a bridge for them, right? But to answer your question, it was really just a lot of just self-education and self-teaching. I would watch MIT videos and Harvard videos when I was in junior college, and I would just research the shit out of like how to start a company and business, and took shit ton of notes and created a business model. Then I started going to like meetups and stuff and just learning from folks, and I started learning about the best accelerator programs and the best venture capital funds and the best, just best, and really just learning from folks like Richard Branson and Elon Musk and guys like that, and just really understanding their stories and what they did, and how my story is a little different, but it's kind of similar in ways, right? So really just kind of self-taught, self-learning, and just being very open-minded to everybody, just understanding that I don't know everything, and that anybody can teach me anything, right? No matter what age, how old they are, I can learn I can learn something from anybody. So always keeping an open mind, and but really just like we formed our LLC Grind Basketball because that was the first concept. But now so we have investors in the Virgin Islands. So now we're incorporating Grind Sports Technology in the Virgin Islands, and we'll have subsidiaries, Grind Basketball, Grind Soccer, and so on and so forth. So yeah, man, it's really just starting somewhere, and just making sure you're on track to grow the right way, I guess.
What stood out to me from that I could relate to, that I think everyone needs to take something out of, is the fact that everything that is self-taught. And I can tell from now the discipline and determination that it takes for someone to say, hey, I don't know this, but I'm gonna learn. That's a big deal. I think everyone should take something from that, because a lot of people say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, and you don't realize, and then they'll make excuses for it and say well, but I don't have this, but I don't have that, I didn't go to college. But it's crazy how you can just take that and say, no, I'm going to learn this, and then you did research on your own. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around how do I put it? Like the structure of the actual machine. Can you explain to me how it forms, how you put it back down? And then number 2, have you patented this product yet?
Absolutely, yeah. So the machine, it's pretty much a big duffel bag that fits into a car, a trunk. We're going for, if Nike were to recreate the shooting machines and all the, equipment that changes these athletes from good to great, how would they do it? And we're ultimately trying to do that, right? So from a duffel bag, you would basically carry it, roll it into a gym, right underneath the goal, and then you just open the bag, and basically it kind of we have poles and all that stuff that kind of holds up the netting and stuff. And you just kind of fold it up, and within about 30 to 40 seconds, you have a 12-foot tall machine, and you turn it on and you kind of start shooting, right? So once you start shooting, make or miss, it'll grab your rebound. And believe it or not, 95% of athletes, kind of basketball players specifically, say that rebounding is the biggest problem, their number one problem. So we're solving a big problem in the market. But yeah, I mean, it gets your rebounds and automatically passes the ball back out to you, right, on any given spot on the court. And then the sensors and the data, you know, would ultimately be able to, you know, see where you shot it from, where you made it from, what your percentage per spot it is, right? So yeah, right now we have like 300 pre-orders right now. We haven't launched yet, so we're launching in March of next year. So pretty soon, but we're ramping up kind of our marketing now. So we're getting all our influencers in order and you know, doing interviews and just making sure that we're in kind of tip-top shape, ready to go.
Yeah. You got something?
Would you, like, I know right now you... Wait. Hello? It's recording. What if, like, you mentioned Nike and, like, bigger names. What if they came up to you and were like, hey, I want to buy your company? What would you do? Like, since you've spent all these years nurturing and growing this business... She's asking if you'd sell it. Would you sell it?
Yeah. No, it's an accurate question. And I think, you know, the short answer, I guess... I kind of see grind being around for 150 years, right? I see us being able to change lives of athletes through sports, right? So whether that's, you know, with Nike, with Adidas, with Under Armour, that'd be great, right? But as long as we can stay true to our mission and, you know, being deeply entrenched in changing the lives in the community, I don't see a problem with like an acquisition or things like that. But ultimately, I think what's important is that mission and making sure that we're like changing lives through sports, right? That's what we're all about at the core. So you know, whatever that looks like, you know, where we're kind of projecting things 5 years out, and whatever happens within that time frame or after that with acquisitions or things like that. I mean, it happens, but as long as kind of we continue changing lives, that's kind of my goal. Right.
Did you ever think that it would come to this? Like, because you obviously had to commit to it at one point and be like, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on now. How did you know that this is what you wanted to pursue? Do you have like other options, like other, you know, career options?
No, absolutely not. This is plan A, B, and C. Yeah. So is basketball, right? I think when I was in basketball, like I didn't have a plan A or a plan B or C. It was just basketball. Yeah. And as soon as I blew out my knees, it's like, shit, I got to figure something else out. Right? And it's just, I took that same grind and that same focus and that same state of mind and applied it to business. And I was just like when I remember in middle school, I would watch like Pistol Pete and Magic Johnson. I was like a student of the game. I would like study Allen Iverson's moves and all kinds of crazy stuff, right? And it kind of correlates, right? Because I'm studying what Elon Musk is doing and what, you know, Steve Jobs did. And I just kind of took that, like Steve Jobs is my Larry Bird, right?
Cool, I like that.
Yeah, it's like Allen Iverson is my Elon Musk. You know what I mean? And now that I'm older, I really appreciate both sides. And you know, you can learn from greatness. Greatness is already done. You just gotta, you know, it's nothing special. I don't think it's extraordinary. It's like literally extra, just ordinary. It's just it's not anything special. It's just a whole bunch of work and a whole bunch of dedication.
Okay. So what type of marketing strategies? You said you have 300 pre-orders right now at the moment, right? So is this like nationwide, worldwide? Are you working with any, I know you said influencers, are you working with any athletes like in the NBA? Have you got contacts in the NBA? Like what's that strategy look like for you right now?
Yeah, kind of our marketing strategy is we kind of see it as really focused in the community again, and leveraging the fact that, you know, we come from the community. we're creating for the community. And when I say community, I mean like the basketball world and just that whole era, whole world in general. Our marketing strategy is very grassroots. It's very authentic, and I think that's what we are. I started in the garage, and now we have a warehouse downtown, and now we're pushing it. We're just shipped out a kind of a low key batch of products. So just making sure the manufacturing is going right and everything. And the 300 pre-orders were just solely word of mouth. People just hearing about the portable shooting machine, the grind machine, and going to our website and signing up for the wait list, right? Or searching it on Google, really trying to solve their problem and then finding the solution like us. So that's kind of where that stemmed from. But ideally, like we're for everybody. This is for the kid in Fifth Ward, trying to make it. This is for the kid in River Oaks trying to make it, right? It's just whatever your story is, it doesn't really matter. We all have that same goal, and that's what we're trying to target, right? So like the kid in high school, from the trainer to the coach to the team that can use the solution and use it at the park or something, right? It's really just for accessibility and really being able to kind of create that level playing field and being able to show kids that you don't have to be the richest to have the best equipment, and you can put in just as much work as those guys as the professionals, and there's not a uneven playing field.
Can you so I saw online and you got something for it?
I got a little bit, yeah. Some athletes. We're working with some really, really nice guys, man. I don't know if I can name them yet, but there's some
people that people know.
Yeah, man. So we're in talks. Our marketing director, Maurice, he's the OG in the basketball world. So he used to work for And One. Okay. So he was kind of like that player relations guy. So he's got some cool guys in the lineup. Yeah, we got a good lineup coming up. And again, it's grassroots, man.
Yeah.
We're real with it. We're not these guys in these offices just hiding behind the scenes. We're actually out there on the court talking to the folks. We actually go hoop with them. It's real. So yeah, I think that's what's the fun thing about it, is actually being authentic with it and not kind of hide behind a desk or something like that.
Yeah. So earlier you touched on the technology aspect. I saw it a little bit on your website too. Can you explain to me how that's integrated? So you got software developers involved, or like how does it work exactly?
Yeah, man. So yeah, we're actually hiring for software developers right now. So if anybody, if you guys know anybody, we're hiring some. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we're hiring for software developers now. We kind of got our beta running, so I think we're probably going to figure out what version of product that we're going to roll out the software. But it's ultimately, we have a couple of sensors in the machine that actually talk to the app. Okay. So it's interactive as you're playing in real time. All your data and all your stats go to your app, right? So you can see where you need to improve most from, and kind of really the concept is to streamline professional training to any backyard, right? So for the most part, personal training, costs $40 to $50 per session, $100, right? So we really want to create a platform for trainers to actually access millions of kids around the world, and streamline it to your backyard, because we've kind of found that online, on your computer training, there's kind of a disconnect from your computer to the basketball court or any, sports field, right? So the machine actually being with that player and going through that workout can really bridge that gap. Yeah. So that's where we kind of found the value with the software.
Nice. You got something to know? Not yet. I got something I want to. Okay. So I'm assuming you probably have one, right? You probably have one at your place, right? Like one of the duffel bags?
Yeah. We have a couple that we continue iterating on.
So when you go and you do your let's say like the grassroots work and you go to courts and stuff, are you taking it with you too and showing it to them?
Yeah, we have done some of that. So we have
like a story, like an example.
I mean, we have done some of it. I mean, we're still working on basically the ironing out all the features. So we did like beta tests with folks, and actually sold units, got feedback from them, making sure that the machine runs perfect for them. So, pretty much trying to listen as much as possible to the customers is our main thing, our main focus. We don't sit behind and kind of stay stagnant in the office and think we're smarter than everybody. We kind of go out to the courts and actually try to, kind of extract the authentic experience that the athlete is having, and really trying to create as much value as we can, right? So we've taken it to the parks, get a lot of folks like, oh, okay, cool, duffel bag, and then they look again and it's like a shooting machine. So they're like, what? That's crazy, right? So yeah, it's a pretty cool thing when they see it. But I think we've done so much iterating. I think we're really trying to hone in on that experience, right? That product experience when a player is kind of locked in and nothing else matters. He just gets chills and he's just working out. Everything disappears from him. I think that's what we're really trying to extract from each product, whether it's basketball or soccer, is to kind of bring out that obsession, that obsessive state into any player. So.
What is like a significant roadblock that you overcame, and how did you overcome it in this whole process?
That's a good question. I would say, I would have to say funding coming from Houston, in the tech space, and then being in sports. There's not too many people that look like me in the tech space, and especially doing things, in this industry, right? I've always felt like you have to feel like you're the best person to solve that problem that you're solving and doing what you're doing. And I fundamentally feel like I'm the best person to solve this problem, and really kind of conveying that to investors is easy in a sense, because it's so authentic. But I think the funds here in Houston, the venture funds, it was really tough to get that. So that was one of the biggest roadblocks for us, right? And I think we overcame that just by figuring out how to survive, right? And a lot of, I think like 90% of startups fail in the first like 2 years or 3 years or something. And we were able to, I put our first money in was my FAFSA refund check, right? The second money in was, money that I had saved up. And then we started getting like smaller investors. And that one small investor 2 years ago just became a significant investor, a couple of weeks ago, right? So he's turned into one of our biggest angel investors. That followed on with another advisor that's been with us. He's from Harvard Business School. He went through Y Combinator, and he just became an investor, and he's our second largest investor, right? So that was a huge roadblock for us, but now we're kind of seeing the light. And kind of coming to that point where we can finally take off. So,
all right. So I want to go a little bit left field now. Give me a day in your life. What kind of hobbies? Are you in a relationship? Yeah. What kind of things do you do for fun? Do you have a big group of friends? Are you more focused on work on a daily basis? Are you just like one track minded, or do you loosen up sometimes?
Yeah. No, man, like the clothes that I'm wearing now is usually like weekend now, so I'm just chilling, right? There's a lot of questions.
Yeah. Just tell us the fun side of Thomas now.
The fun side, yeah.
The CEO,
man.
Not the CEO, just Thomas now.
Yeah, man, know what I'm saying? That's pretty much me, man. I love Houston rap. Yeah. I have a girlfriend, Amory. She's here. Man, I don't know. I'm pretty laid back. My friends, I have a very small group of friends, probably 4, 5 max, right? we never went out too much. We were always just hooping, playing basketball, working out. That's pretty much us. Eating, you know. I don't know, man. I guess a day in my life now is usually waking up. Well, it varies, right? So some days I would wake up at 5 a.m. For the past 3 years, I probably that's
3 a.m. too. You
yeah, 3 a.m. Yeah. That was all kind of learned. That was learned through my coach at basketball. Like my first day of high school, we had 5 a.m. practice. Yeah, it was my first day of high school. It was crazy, but yeah, I'm an early bird. I mean, I love reading now, so I try to read every time I can. Yeah, I love reading. One of my favorite books is 0 to 1, and I'm reading, I think it's called Capitalism Without Capital. I love business books. Yeah.
What kind of what specific entrepreneurs do you follow?
Ooh.
On social media, is there anyone specific that you really dive into?
I love I think I tag along to guys in specific fields, right? So like Jerry Lorenzo and design. I love that. Like I really try to learn as much as I can from Jerry on the design, product design and stuff like that. Tristan Walker on the business side, like raising venture funds and just CEO in general, right? Whenever I'm thinking about tech, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos at Amazon, like all those guys. Whenever I'm thinking about culture, I turn to like Richard Branson. It's just like all these little segments of like where I want to be great in. I just got a guy for that. You know what I'm saying? I just try to figure out, crack the code on how to be great in that one field. But a day in my life, man. On the weekends, I play basketball a lot, or I work out a lot. I try to run as much as possible and not get fat. I eat a lot. I try to.
You don't want to be a fat guy.
Yeah.
Basketball machine.
One of my biggest fears is like working so much that I don't embrace my family.
Yeah. So
that's a big thing for me. Because I'll work my ass off all day, every day, and it doesn't feel like work. It's kind of fun working on this. So I really try to focus in on spending time with my family and because these are the people I'm doing it for, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So that's important to me. And just growing up, just like everybody else, man, just trying to a young man trying to do right and bring on good habits and be disciplined and what I'm saying, just all that stuff. But I listen to a lot of rap. Man, we were about to go to a SPM concert. Yeah, it's like a festival down there, Zero and Slim Thug and all those dudes. But yeah, so like that's pretty much me. I think I don't know, what else did you say?
That was kind of the gist of it. I think she's got something for you.
So when did you decide to drop out of school, and why what was your thought process?
That's a good one.
Yeah. Dropping out of business school. I remember the day we were taking a test in accounting. We were preparing for a test in accounting, and this is at U of H. And asked a question that was relevant to grind at that specific time. And I remember the teacher answering and looking at me kind of weird. She was like, "That's not on the test." I'm like, I don't care if it's on the test or not. Like, I want to know because I'm trying to learn so I could put this into grind. And I didn't say that. It was just like, what? All right, whatever, dog. Like, all right, whatever. And then like I ended up failing that exam, and it was like I don't fail a lot. Like I don't fail in school a whole lot. Always got B's and C's, right? Just general, right? But whenever I get F's, I'm just like, I gotta rethink life. I'm just like, I got an F. Like, that's weird. Basketball always kind of kept me in check. So whenever basketball season would go away, I would maybe get some D's and C's, and I was like a B average, C average kid. But yeah, like I think it was after that test, after that exam, I'm like, man, I'm wasting a whole bunch of money. And this teacher was like, that's not on the test. Like, I'm trying to learn some real stuff. And that was kind of validation for me. And it kind of struck me. I was like, look, man, after that semester, I got into a technology accelerator. And I kind of forgot to apply for classes.
Explain to me.
I kind of forgot, yeah. And then just think of it.
Technology accelerator is.
A tech accelerator is like, there's different tiers of them, right? So I think there's some for like introducing technology to somebody that wants to start an app or a technology company. So you go through the whole gist of customer discovery, product development, team, core, mission, just basically the basics of kind of starting a company.
Yeah.
And they break it down for you. And luckily I did a whole bunch of research. So I had like a business model ready. So most of this stuff was just kind of, restructuring everything that I had already learned. It was just given to me in a different way, which was kind of good for me. But yeah, tech accelerator, some give you capital and invest in your company and take a percentage. Some are just, they give you grant money and they kind of help you. Yeah. It's just different tiers of it. We were in one through U of H and Rice, and I literally I was at HCC at the time taking like a class or two, and I got into the accelerator. And I think this is kind of a secret, but I didn't take one class at U of H, and I actually got into the accelerator. Yeah, so I was like the only kid. I was like around these U of H kids, and I was like HCC dude. And I was like, I ain't saying nothing. I was just chilling, just do my work, right? So yeah, that's kind of what a tech accelerator is. But some are different. Some are focused in different domains. Like they have sports accelerators. They have fintech accelerators, financial tech. There's all kinds of stuff, but yeah, we've been in a couple.
You got anything? I actually wanted to go back a little bit. You said your dad. I want to touch on your dad now, right? You said he was probably your biggest inspiration, motivation. So he was in the music industry. Yeah. Tell me about that. Because I'm really heavy. Like one of my best buddies is all about it. Yeah. So.
And I think I wish more people would bring up that, like the inspiration behind like who I am and all that stuff. I think it's between my dad and my coach, Coach Henderson, and then my dad. I'm actually wearing my dad's old hat. Like this is his Unified Entertainment Music. That was his, I guess, record label, right? So he did like 5 beats for SPM. He was a music producer. He worked with Little Flip. I remember when I was like 4 years old, I was like, Little Flip came to the house. I remember SPM and Baby Bash and all these guys. They would just come to the house. We had the studio in the back, and I just kind of grew up with in the studio on like a black couch and just always falling asleep. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and the beats would be going and music would be going. And I think that's where I kind of got instilled with the idea of like repetition. Yeah. Because you hear that beat over and over and over and over and over. It never stops, and they do the verse over and over, and it's like it never stops, right? And I would fall asleep to it. So it's kind of instilled in my head where like if you gotta do something, you're trying to accomplish something, you gotta keep doing it over and over and over. And I think the studio we called it the jam room, and the jam room really instilled that logic in me, that discipline and that focus and that determination to, whenever you're getting something, trying to accomplish something, you just got to keep going. But yeah, he did beats. I think he came out with 5 albums. He originally started in rock and roll, and then he jumped to rap music. Worked with all these Houston artists, and now he's actually doing country music. Yeah, so he's very, very versatile. but yeah, I learned a lot from him. And then my coach Henderson, I think that mindset coupled with that basketball mindset is what really created the essence of grind. Because Coach Hendo is crazy. Wow, he's a character, man. But that dude, 5 a.m. He put me on varsity when I was a freshman. I was like 5'10", 5'11". Everybody else is like bigger, stronger. Mm-hmm. He was like 5 a.m. We got practice. Let's go. Be there 30 minutes early. Yeah, like we're playing at 5. Like we're not warming up at 5. Like you gotta get there at 4:30, right? So mom was like, "All right, let's go." And then he just kind of he really instilled the obsessive state of mind, like that those 3 days, those work out for 2 hours, then go to the weight room for an hour, and then go to the track. It's like wild shit. It didn't make us. Yeah, he's wild. So yeah, it was. I think those inspirations really created the mindset and the feeling of like what we're trying to do with grind.
Yeah.
So.
Where do you see it in, say, your release date? What is happening from now till then? How do you expect it to go? Where do you see it next March?
Next March, we're expecting a big launch. So over $1 million. We're shooting for right now. It's all about executing. Some of the we're constant communication with manufacturers and things like that. So just I myself I'm kind of moving out of the manufacturing and stuff and moving towards the marketing and just focusing in on kind of what's next. And I think that's killing it in basketball first and really creating solutions for these players and showing the world what it could really actually do, getting it into millions of kids and athletes' hands, and then ultimately starting to expand that vision into different sports is kind of what I see.
Can we we can cut this out if you don't want to talk about it. Can we talk about the price range?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so the price range. So we initially started around $1,200.
So you dropped it a lot.
Yeah.
The standard things.
Absolutely. Yeah. So $1,200 to $1,500 is gonna be the range. And then ideally, what we want to do is come out with a kind of a base model that is even more accessible to athletes. We're working with a third-party financial company to break it down into payments where kids you don't have to have that whole lump sum, but we actually make it accessible and really what I kind of envision in the future is you go into a park or you go into a Boys and Girls Club and a grind machine being there and you being able to use it, right? So just exploring different business models and different concepts on how to get this into help every athlete in there that wants that help.
Yeah. So Lakers or Clippers?
I think the Lakers.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Rockets or Warriors?
Rockets.
Rockets or Lakers?
I gotta go with the Rockets.
Yeah. Keep it at home.
Oh yeah, I gotta keep it home, man.
Yeah.
But the Lakers are looking good.
They are, right?
I'm excited for this season.
Me too. Overall, I'm bouncing on it.
It's why I'm getting chills talking about it. It's just I don't watch a lot of basketball. I've always been just a player, right? I don't really. I'm a fan of it, but I always played it more than I watched it. But man, this upcoming season is. Yeah, it's been sticking out to me, and if it's sticking out to me, I know everybody else knows about it, right? Because I'm usually last to hear about it. But yeah, that I think with our launch, we're launching in around that March Madness. What is it? The NBA All-Star Game is in February. March Madness is right there, so we're launching all around that area. So I think it's gonna be really fun just launching that. So. Yeah, absolutely.
So to kind of start wrapping it up, where do you see the company in 5 years?
5 years, definitely multi-million. And I think now that we've gotten we're out of the garage, so it's cool to see, to kind of see that vision back then and still have that same vision now, but a lot more people see that now, right? From our employees to investors to advisors to just everybody I talk to, you're starting to see that kind of vision come to life. So I'm pretty confident in it, and definitely into different sports. I'm excited about that, and to really go out to soccer fields and more basketball fields and football fields and just different sports and really talking to athletes. I think that's the coolest part, is to actually talk to a player and discover his problems and actually go solve them. It's cool.
Have you been face to face with any professionals and discussed this project?
Yeah, absolutely. I know Corey Brewer. We talked to the I'm going blank on his name. We've talked to Chris Paul a little bit. The professor, the the professor. Yeah. So that's one of the influencers that we're probably going to be working with.
Oh, that's cool. I grew up with him watching Facebook Canada. He was a huge deal.
Yeah, man, it's going to be pretty fun. But as far as the NBA players, I mean, there's a couple of more guys, but I think we're focused on the guys like RJ Hampton, the high school kid that's from Dallas.
Smart, yeah.
It's very, very smart, but just about his focus, very, very focused, and trying to reach his goals. Those are the kids that we're really focused on. So RJ Hampton actually tested out our machine not too long ago. Just trying to focus in on those kids that are in that high school realm, and trying to make it. I think that's where we're that's our focus. Not necessarily focus on the Stephs and the LeBrons. Hopefully they can become investors pretty soon to help those kids. But I think we're mostly focused on the kids. So.
All right. Let's go ahead and start wrapping it up. Why don't you tell everyone where we can find you, your products, your website? Where can we get more information?
Yeah. So my Instagram is Thomas Fields. Grind is Grind Basketball, and then we have Grind Incorporated. So that's more of behind the scenes, bigger vision, bigger picture type of stuff. But Grind Basketball is where we'll be launching all our basketball content. Our Twitter is Grind Incorporated, Grind INC, and then Facebook is Grind Basketball right now. So yeah, we'll be launching pretty soon. So look out for us and go follow us.
Yeah. Wrap it up for us.
Thank you everyone for watching. Make sure to stay tuned for our next episode. We're posting every week right now, if not twice a week, which is crazy. Follow our Instagram at the Yacht Club podcast. And yeah, see you on the next episode.